What accessories are you going to be taking with you this summer for your GoPro? Hi, thanks for dropping in, and I'm going to show you today some of the accessories that I take with me on holiday. First of all, I take the GoPro because it's such a small camera. This is a Hero 5, so it's quite an old one now. It's so small, people don't notice it. You get really good shots with it as long as you control that shutter, especially in bright sunlight. So I use the GoPro, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I put with it to try and improve my video. For this video, I'm not going to put affiliate links because I don't get paid for any affiliate links, so I'm not putting them on. But I'm going to show you the kind of things that I use. The first thing I think that's really important is a decent case. This Ulanzi case is fantastic. It takes the audio adapter, holds it nice and secure. It takes filters, which means you can put neutral density on, and it takes your audio straight into there, takes your microphone on the top, and off you go. And the thing is, it's so quick to use as well. You just basically plop your camera in, and then you get the back, as he's stretching over miles away, push the back on, slides on, put the audio adapter straight into the GoPro, and you're ready now to put your microphone on top. Now the question is, what are you going to use on the top with the GoPro? I basically take with me 3 levels, I call levels of audio. Basically the first one is the who cares, who sees me, whatever. I take the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus because outdoors this is a great microphone. I don't like it so much indoors, but I do like it outdoors. And of course, if you're out in a windy place, you've got to take one of these with you as well. So it looks a bit big on top of the camera, but that's my first port of call if I want some decent audio. So if I fit this on the top, it looks like this, and it's fairly big. It's fairly big, and people will notice you when you're walking around with this, especially when it's on a stick or a tripod or a pole, and you just basically plug in and off you go. I generally don't use plus 20 when I'm out and about because things can be so loud when you're out that this can get a bit over the top. So I use it on 0 gain, and generally I don't actually boost the treble either. I do it in post when I get home. So that's the first setup, if you don't mind people seeing you. So it's quite large, and if I hold that there, that's what it would look like on top of the camera with the windsock on. So it's quite a setup. But with this setup, you would get very good audio. That's my first level when I don't care if people see me. The second level is, of course, the good old Deity. The Deity doesn't look so scary. Again, I put a wind muff on it if necessary. Nice thing about the Deity is it sits back from the lens, so you can still use that quite easily on wide mode. And the Deity doesn't look quite so frightening, especially if you take that off as well. It's not so frightening, and people don't notice that quite as much as the VideoMic. So that's the Deity, which gives you very good audio. Then there's I'll call this a subset of number 2, because very often what I do is I will, if it's going to be used indoors, I will take this off and use this one indoors, because this picks up really nice audio indoors because it got slightly less bass, and this is the VideoMic, the Rode VideoMic, which is nice and small, and indoors that won't attract attention, and with the wind muff missing, it's not too big. With the wind muff, it looks a bit like well, it can get a bit frightening looking, but if that's your only mic, then you have to use that wind muff outdoors. But that one works well as well because it has less bass than the other two. Therefore, indoors, you pick up less boom, which is quite nice. And then the next level, the next tier I call it, is my stealth mode. And for that, I've got a box of goodies, just basically lavaliers with different lengths. The good old EM172. Got to have these as well in case it's windy. I've got one on a short lead, so I can just dangle it from the thing itself like that, and then clip it to itself. So basically it's an omnidirectional microphone, but it's clipped to itself like that, and that's really inconspicuous, which is really quite nice. and that picks up everything all around you. And the lavaliers again are good indoors because you can pin them to people, or if you're at a table having a meal or something, you can pin them to the table. So basically I've got 3 levels of microphones. The Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is a big sort of monster, gives really good audio, especially outdoors. The Deity, which is a middle tier type of thing, not so big, not so scary, doesn't attract so much attention, or the Video Micro for indoors. And then the Stealth Mode, which is my collection of lavaliers. Mostly EM172s I use actually, because they're such low noise lavaliers. And I've also got an EM184, which is a cardioid lavalier. So I take along with me quite a collection of microphones for different situations. To hold the camera, I use a variety of options, from sticks to tripods to all sorts of things, just to hold the thing steady. The first option that I use a lot is this thing, which is very, very cheap actually. It's actually metal, which is amazing. And it's a GoPro, it's a stick, and that's it. So you can take pictures of your family while you're walking on the street. The thing that I wanted with mine was that I wanted to have a 1/4" screw up there, so that I could go directly into this. But the trouble is you can't angle it. So I also bought a ball and socket joint. The thing is, with the ball and socket, I wanted something with a big handle here to make it more sensitive to adjustments. And therefore you can just screw that into the top of your stick and put that into your GoPro, into your case. And now you've got a nice little handheld setup. And there you go, nice little handheld setup. And then also, as I say, if you want to, you can make it a bit longer, or even use it as a monopod. Sometimes I use it as a monopod to do little turning shots like that, just by turning it slowly, whatever. But that's a handy thing to have. This was really cheap, and it's not even a make on this one, so I'm not quite sure what the make is, but it's very good. I basically made sure it had a 1/4" thing at the top. Now, other than that, if I want to go into slightly more stealthy mode, I would use something like this, which is the little Joby Gorilla Pod. Now this is fantastic because, again, you just screw it into there and off you go, and you can bend these legs into all kinds of shapes and sizes and things. Look, there you go, all over the place. You can grab it onto things. Very, very handy for walking around. So I very often take this with me anyway, just for those times when I want to be taking shots still on a tripod. And the other thing that I do take is, if I'm taking the big stick, I'll take a strap. This is a very handy thing. It's called a HiiGuy, and it's basically a strap. If you've got a load of gear on here, you've got a lot of gear, you might have your camera, your microphone and whatever, and you basically get this screw part here, and the screw bit goes into the bottom of the stick. You screw it into there, which means you can now attach it to your strap and just hang it from your shoulder while you're walking around, which is actually very good. It's not low profile with the camera on the end of that, but that's really useful thing to have as well. Then I've got my specialist mounts. Now the first one is this Z frame, which is very good. Basically you can angle it there, sit it on the ground and put the thing on there on a table, which is really very, very solid. You can put it on a tripod if you want to, and angle it downwards if you want to. This is a handy thing. You know, one thing about these Z frames is this one's not such a cheap one, but if you do get the cheap ones, very often these friction joints are not too great. I had one where the camera was just drooping on the frame, and when I tried to tighten up the nut here, the thread stripped. So I got one that you can adjust yourself manually. It's more reliable. This is nice because it's a bit of weight, and sometimes I'll put this on the end of my stick, this stick here, and I'll attach it there, so it becomes a counterweight. And if you're using this as a selfie stick, it can make it really, really secure, because this acts as your counterweight against the camera and microphone at the other end. So having the extra weight is actually beneficial sometimes. That's quite useful. And then my real specialist mount is my little suction cap, which goes on the car windscreen, or if I'm at home in the flat or something, or in the place we're staying, I'll stick it on the window and take shots indoors as well. Gets it out of the way, no tripods to worry about. Fantastic, dead portable. Okay, then there are little subsidiaries and things I take. Filters. I take Hoya filters. I found that these are very good for the price. This is just a set of 3 actually. This is a Polariser, a protection filter, which is just a glass plate over the front of your lens for the times when you've got spray or whatever going on. And an ND8 goes in here. Now the thing I found about the Hoyas is when I've put them down and put light into them to look at the reflection, in comparison to many others, they reflect much less light. So you're less prone to get flare. So filters, that's another thing that I will be taking. And then of course, we're going to be going swimming. So waterproof case. I don't trust the GoPro to go underwater. I don't want my 300 and whatever camera to go under the sea, leak water, and I no longer have a GoPro. So I won't do it, especially if you're pulling that audio adapter in and out and you've got the thing with the seal off. So I put it in a case for underwater stuff. Sound be put on later in post. And I also take, of course, a floaty. Floaty is very important. And this one is very nice because I can take a tenner with me for the cafe, put it in there, seal it up and take it with me underwater. No water gets in there and I've got money with me and keys. They go in there. So this is a very, very handy thing to have. The floaty is very useful and that fits directly onto the thing there, and that's it, off you go. Now, very often you want to take shots inside your flat or inside where you're staying, and the light conditions aren't always the best. So you need a little bit of help. So what I did was I bought one of these cheap, tiny little lights. It is actually very good and it works fairly well. I can control the amount of light, which is useful indoors. I can balance it with sunlight, which is nice outdoors to try and decrease the shadows. I've put it on a bracket so that the GoPro sits there. So that's what it looks like. So if I fit the GoPro onto this, you end up with the camera on one side and the light on the other side, and then get a handle. And what I do is I balance it just about there. It's about balanced because this has got holes in the bottom to thread it on, and there you have a nice little light setup. And of course the microphone will go on the top. So if I get my microphone, it would look like this. But again, this is going to attract attention. So generally I'll use this around the flat and where I need light. But when I'm out and about, this is a bit frightening, and people notice as soon as you get something like this out. Although having said that, I have done that, and you can hang this whole assembly on my belt mechanism from the bottom, and it's perfectly safe. But people do notice when you're out and about and suddenly you go like that. That's noticeable straight away. So I don't tend to take this setup out and about with me, especially when I'm shopping. Some of the shopkeepers don't like it either because they can see you filming their gear on the tables and whatever, and they're not always very keen on that. So I have to go into stealth mode sometimes for that one. And finally, in my collection of bits and pieces that I take on holiday, I take a lens hood because it's sunny and you're going to get flare. Nice one thing about this one is it can be altered so that it's very little. It's halfway up, it says here. Can't do it while it's not on the camera so easily. It goes halfway up. I can't do it. And then fully up. Fully up is no good. It's too far for this one because I'd have to use a longer lens. So I have to use it on the long setting. So lens hoods are always handy just in case you're getting flare. And of course you must take batteries. You must take batteries. You will run out. And I also take a backup, and that's a charger, a battery charger. Just plug the GoPro into this when we're having lunch or something, give it a kick so that everything goes back to nicely charged up again for the next set of shots. So basically that's a roundup of the kind of stuff that I'll be taking on holiday with me to take shots while I'm on holiday. The thing is it's going to give you good results because you've got a camera that's capable of taking good pictures. You've got filters to control the light. You've got microphones to capture decent audio. You've got different options to hold the gear to get it stable. You've got power. You've got everything you need, and it's a smallish package. It's not such a big package, and you can choose which mode you go into, whether you're public or stealth mode when you're out on holiday, In some places I found that people don't mind. You get out a big camera and no one minds. In other places, as soon as you bring that big camera out, especially in a shop, you get suspicions and people looking at you like, what are you doing in my shop, sort of thing. So you've got to be very careful with that kind of thing. Some people don't like to appear on your holiday videos. That's the other thing. If you're out in the street, you suddenly get a huge camera out and someone walks through your shot, they can get funny. So I find different stealth modes are quite useful with the GoPro, and that's the beauty of using it on holiday. The other thing is you've got to remember is you are on holiday and you're taking photographs of your holiday. You're not going on holiday to take photographs. You're going on holiday and the photographs are the secondary thing. And that's precisely why I take a GoPro, a small camera, not a big camera, and I don't worry so much about the quality of what's coming out. I just try to get as best quality as I can at the time and then go home, edit it and get a nice record of what we were doing on holiday. So I hope that gives you some ideas for yours, and it maybe gives you some new ideas for you. If not, don't worry. If it does, great, fantastic. I try not to take too much gear with me on holiday because the chances of losing it or leaving it there when you pack and go home is quite great. So you've got to be very careful. Just one other tip. If you're going into a strange flat, if you're like me, you've got places for things and you know where everything goes at home. When you go to a holiday place, find a place where you can leave all your camera gear in one place and always put it there when you're finished, so that when you come home and you pack, everything is in the same place and you don't leave anything behind. Believe you me, it's dead easy to leave these tiny things around somewhere hidden in a dark area where you don't see it, especially if it's the GoPro is black or something else is black. You don't see it, and before you know it, you're on that plane, you think, oh, I left whatever at the holiday place. So have a good holiday, and I hope that's given you some ideas. There are no links for this because no one pays me to put links on, so I'm not going to do it until someone pays me. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cheers for now.